am a Russian citizen, and I'm here to express my protest to the war in the Ukraine.
Exactly the same, or probably more, atrocities that is already committed in Syria.
I cannot even call myself a Russian anymore. Hey, welcome to another one of my videos. I'm here back in London and I'm outside the Russian embassy again. Over 2 months have passed since Russia invaded Ukraine. A lot has changed, tens of thousands of people have died, countless lives ruined, countless businesses ruined, countless everything ruined. And what's really been phenomenally strange about this conflict is the division. Not just the Russian army, you'd expect them to be aggressive towards Ukraine, but the division with normal day-to-day Russians and Ukrainians that I've known throughout my life have suddenly picked a side. When I asked one ex-Russian friend why they were spewing hate in their Instagram stories and cheering on the Russian aggression, the response I got was this. I could have left it there, but I felt I needed to respond. I haven't since. For me, I'm not Ukrainian, I was just a Ukrainian resident. But when you're seeing Ukrainians being hated online by Russians, it makes my blood boil. This is just one example.
Мы москвичи, а ты хохол, мы смотрим, да?
Привет с Украины. А почему у тебя такая реакция?
У нас все хорошо, у вас нет, ясно?
Тебе не кажется, что это некрасиво?
Нет.
Ну это очень
Мне
плохо.
насрать.
Иди на хол, ебаный, бля. Иди Донбасс, блядь, защищай.
А как у тебя вообще отношение к украинцам?
Бля, я с Москвы на самом деле, блядь, ну не очень, короче.
Привет с Украины. Почему ты сразу оскорбляешь?
Now, there are exceptions to the rule. There are Russians in London and there are Russians around the world that have decided that what Russia is doing is wrong, and these people are classed as the Russians against the war. But what's really strange is Putin's poll rating has gone to 80%. That's the highest rating he's ever had. A lot of polls are fake polls, but what is shocking, because I'm having conversations with Russians and losing friendships over it, and I'm also losing people that watch this channel, people that have enjoyed watching this channel because I decided to pick a side. The side I picked, the innocent people. Zelensky has many, many issues. Zelensky is not the saint everyone makes him out to be, but at the same time he's fighting for the freedom of his country, and all of those brave men, women, and even children who are still in Ukraine are fighting just for the right to exist, the right to be a nation, the right to retain their culture, the right to retain their language. And we, the world, are still not doing enough. Anyway, I'm here to meet some Russians who are against this war.
I am Russian.
Okay.
I'm Russian. And what brings me here, a lot of things. Yeah, since the beginning of war, I just was feeling devastated and desperate that I can't stop that. And I understand that the problem is not only Putin himself, but Russian people who has terrorized them for 20 years, and now they believe him. And it's not only the war between countries, it's our families are destroyed. Elderly people, they watch TV, they believe TV, they have nothing else to believe.
Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне!
I am Russian. I'm Russian by birth. I've been living here for some years, but as basically a spokesman just said, spokesperson for this protest just said, we have the privilege to be out here protesting without the immediate threat of being arrested. So we have to use this right on behalf of those who, for the reason that it's really dangerous and people are being persecuted and there is no freedom of speech in our own country. We have to step up and we have to speak up here. It's still noticeable, it's still very important, and it's just the moral duty. I don't know, I can't feel otherwise. I haven't been that politically active before, but just what happened on the 24th, ever since, I just can't think of anything else. I have to be here.
The non-Russian speakers, non-Ukrainian speakers, what does your sign say?
It says Putin is fucked up. And it's a famous phrase by Boris Nemtsov that murdered for his political views and opposition to this murderous regime. And I'm here to represent a bit of that.
That's cool.
Because there's really not much more I can do at Moshe.
No, the fact that you're daring to stand outside the Russian embassy, I think that's a lot of, you're doing a lot there.
So, well, what can I say? I mean, first of all, I came here for the second time. The first one was on the 24th of February when the war had started, and then there were also quite many people who came here immediately to protest, and I decided also to come now and just to reaffirm my position here.
Особенно важно выступать против, использовать свой голос и говорить о том, что мы не согласны, мы хотим остановки этой войны немедленно.
2 months in, had you been to other protests or vigils?
No, unfortunately I skipped previous protests. I just, I don't know, first I was shell-shocked, then I had to deal with my own stuff because I worked for a company that was declared extremist in Russia, and that put a personal toll on me, and so I had to sort that out first. Now I kind of want to engage more.
I'm a Russian citizen actually. I live here in the UK. So on the 28th or 24th of February, early in the morning I read the news. I couldn't believe that this could happen. So that my country, although I live here, Russia is my country, my native country, of course. So it's I can't explain what the feeling is like. Very, very terrible. And the same feeling came to a lot of my friends who live in Moscow, because none of us ever voted for Putin, ever supported that. Many of us protested against Putin and his regime back in 2014 when Crimea was annexed.
Другие люди почувствовать ее и приобрести ее, просвещать и вдохновлять их, нести ее за собой.
And you guys are both Syrians, obviously.
Yes.
Do you want to say a few words for camera? Or
Yes, I could do so gladly.
Yeah? What's your name?
Mahmoud. I'm Abu Sami.
Abu Sami.
Abu Sami.
It's a beautiful name. What brings you here today?
Well, obviously, everybody heard in the news the kind of atrocities that Putin is committing in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that brought back memories of exactly the same or probably more atrocities that he's already committed in Syria.
Yeah.
And I come from the town or city of Aleppo. And the city of Aleppo, you should see the camera, what it showed, to believe. It was razed to the ground, just like Grozny in the Chechen war.
Yeah.
And you know how he started the Chechen war. He blew up a whole building inside Russia, killing 300 Russians in order to get the excuse to move his army within 24 hours. Everything was ready. Now, when you are provoked, normally, you should prepare for at least 2-3 weeks to get an army launched against another country. But his army was standing by, ready for the bomb to go off and to move in against the Chechens. Started with the Chechens, the world looked on and nothing happened. He was still Putin, the beloved leader of the Russian Federation. Then he moved into Syria with the blessing of Kiri, if you remember, on the news, over a period of couple of years, meeting Kiri with Lavrov, preparing and patting each other on the back. That's the best proof to you that West and East collided in what's happened in Syria. And now they are getting it in the neck, so to speak, because it's right on the western borders of Ukraine, the whole of Western Europe and NATO. And now we are at risk of having a nuclear war. That's what Putin suggested. Now, what more end result to hypocrisy that is committed by the West? And there is still no sign of it. Nobody still talks about stopping Putin in Syria. That doesn't matter. He can carry on bombing. The reason why he's not bombing in Syria now as heavily as he used to, because he's busy bombing the Ukraine. So that's the hypocrisy, and that's the end result. The chemical weapons, the incessant bombing of. He specialized. Believe me not, this is not talk. You can verify it in the news. Everything is on record. He specialized in bombing primary schools. He never bombed secondary or university. He bombed only primary schools, bakeries, hospitals, and then he sent his planes to burn the harvest in the fields, to starve the population and deprive it of food resources. And now everybody is getting in the neck for being hypocritic for so many years. This is the war in Syria started in 2011 and still hasn't ended, and nobody cares. But everybody cares about the Ukraine, and good luck to the Ukrainians. We are with them. Don't misunderstand me.
So my name is Natasha, and I am a Russian citizen, and I'm here to express my protest to the war in the Ukraine.
Do you have a message for Ukrainians who are in Ukraine right now?
I am very empathetic with the Ukrainians, and I am really absolutely sorry for what is going on with them, and I would like to I'm just sending my love and my empathy to them, to you guys.
Пора признать, что мы достигли точки невозврата. Пора признать, что мы живем во времена.
My name is Anna, and this says no to war. So I think it's the most important thing for us now, this war to be stopped. And as we here in UK, we can go out and say it. Unfortunately, in Russia, it can be too dangerous, and not so many people can do it.
Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне!
So as you see, we have a flag here. Now you might be thinking, is that the Finnish flag? It's not the Finnish flag. It is basically the Russian flag where the red has been taken out of the flag. And the Russians against Russia have adopted this flag as their own. They've sort of discounted the old Russian flag, which you can see up here. The white, the blue, the red. And now the red symbolizes the bloodshed, all of the years, the decades, the bloodshed that those connected to Russia have basically imposed on populations around the old Soviet Union and around the world. Now don't get me wrong, the Russian people are wonderful people, as you can see. There's some really good Russian people. The world isn't against Russia. We want the war to end by standing with Ukraine doesn't mean you're jumping on the next virtue signal, doesn't mean that you're supporting Black Lives Matter or the latest craze. This is actually meaningful because people in Ukraine are losing their lives. People in Ukraine are losing their homes. People in Ukraine are losing everything that they once had, all because someone, Vladimir Putin, thinks it's appropriate to invade a country that he believes should be part of the old Soviet Union. He wants to create a new Soviet Union, and it's tragic. And that's exactly why we're here, and that's exactly why we need to stop the situation.
I was a friend with a person who lives in Russia, in my hometown, and he got completely brainwashed. I actually broke things with him, broke up with him 2 days before the invasion started because it was obvious it was going to happen. But he was still like convinced that it's actually like everything is Ukraine's fault, and I just couldn't in good conscience like keep talking to him. Like, and there was another similar thing, but I know a Russian businessman.
Yeah.
And this businessman is started out like just saying, "Oh, I just have to take care of my family, and I don't want to get involved and just want to like build stuff and like build new factories and so on." And but at some point he just kind of clicked and switched to being like full-on pro-Putin. And at that point I just could no longer like see maintaining friendship with him. So yeah.
Из Вены, и мы уже делали эту акцию в прошлый раз и хотим повторить сегодня.
Yeah, I'm here because I don't agree with what my country's government does. I'm very opposed to it, and I'm quite depressed about what happens, and I want to express to them and to other people around the globe that not all Russians agree with it. We are against the crimes and the war. We want it to stop as shortly as possible.
Do you have any Russian friends that are pro the war? Or do you know anyone that might?
My mom.
I think my grandma is pro-war because she's brainwashed. Yeah.
How can you possibly change your mind, or is that simply impossible?
I'm not sure that's possible. Well, at least not easy to, because there is a huge amount of misinformation in Russian media, and pretty much no independent Russian media is accessible to normal citizens in Russia. And yeah, it's quite isolated environment, unfortunately.
So what can we do now? So, here in the UK, we can come here and we can be safe that we won't be arrested. This is a very simple thing to come and say that we need to stop bloodshed. That's going on all the time. We all know about crimes that were committed in Bucha, Mariupol, large city, a city which is in size like many big Russian cities like Tula, Kaluga. Yeah, and it's completely destroyed now. We all know what is happening there. I'm not sure that a lot of people know all these facts in Russia. Maybe that explains why there seems to be a large support of the war. But actually we don't know if it's really the case. There is no sociology, free sociology like in the West. We don't know what Russians think, those who are staying back in Russia. So since we have the ability to come here, we will do that. That's the minimal thing that we can do. Of course, there's a lot more that each of us can have to stop the war. We need to stop violence. That's the first thing that we need to do. And the next step, when the violence stops, is to urge Putin to withdraw his forces and let Ukraine remain a free, independent country, like all other independent countries in Europe and in all the world. We need to live together in peace. We need to develop all our economies. We need to create cultural, economical ties between all countries. We need to live in peace, all of us. And the way that Putin goes now is a very different way. This is a terrible way of violence. I don't know if this helps. I hope this helps. Any protest.
I think people, certainly the Ukrainians, appreciate your support. Imagine if we could replace the current flag with this new flag, take away the bloodshed. I mean, I don't think the Russians will really miss it. The flag has only existed since the 1990s. As they conquered parts of Mariupol, the Russian soldiers raised the old Soviet Union flag. It says everything you need to know.
The Soviet Union will be pleased to offer amnesty to your wayward vassal.
The Soviet Union? I thought you guys broke up.
Yes, that's what we wanted you to think.
What do you say to the older generation that only gets their news from the government news channels?
My older generation get information from internet, so I really don't.
So you think there's no excuse? No excuse? They should have the information and
I think they should have more information, but sometimes it can be difficult because when you heard it for years and have this picture in mind, changes this picture could be difficult. And I think many of people don't believe that all that is really true, because it's so terrible, and we know that what happens, and we know that it's terrible, but many people just cannot imagine that it can be true, so they prefer to don't believe it, because it changes all your life. You have to understand how can you live in the world when your country does these things. So I think in many cases it can be this situation.
Brilliant.
So they just cannot believe it and prefer not to.
If you could speak to the Russian ambassador and you had 30 seconds with him, what would you say to him?
Дорогой товарищ, позор всем Российской Федерации, не только Путину. Позор, потому что он совершает эту войну in ваше имя. And in будущем мы будем вас судить. Судить всех тех, которые не поддерживали Путин в России.
Алексей в желтой жилетке, наверное, раздал кому-то постеры.
I cannot even call myself a Russian anymore. Even though I was born and raised there, I still have Russian passport. With calling myself part of that collective entity is no longer like something I can stomach, Like especially Ukrainians, because who am I to complain? They're getting murdered, and I'm just like an asshole with a sign. But still, like I understand, like they might have feeling of animosity towards anyone who came from Russia, and I don't think that it's like how it should be, but I understand why it is that way. I don't hold the grudge for that. But at the same time, I hope that the UK government and people here sort of understand, and so far they do understand, that there's a difference between like politicians, especially Putin, and normal people, and they are very grateful for that.
работать в школах и ласкать детям.
As a Russian, I'm deeply sorry for everything that is happening in Ukraine. There is no words to describe. I'm humbled by the bravery of the Ukrainian people, and I just wish that the war is going to be over as soon as possible, and strength to Ukraine and peace to Ukraine. And again, from Russian people who do not support it, we are deeply, deeply sorry for what you're going through right now because of our president.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. A message to you, the Ukrainians that are now going through what you guys have gone through for 11 years.
Well, I wish you all the best in your war against tyranny, and you are really in a very good position to carry on the fight, and don't give up. Carry on the fight whilst you can, whilst you are getting help from the Western countries, and when you have got your victory, and I hope very soon, I hope you will remember Syria, and then you will help us with your weapons produced in the Ukraine, so that we can fight on Putin in Syria and get these dictators sorted in every country they happen to be.
Ольга, Краснодар.
Елена, дверь.
Смелые люди из Москвы и Санкт-Петербурга.
Демьян, Питер.
Константин, Москва. Евгения, Питер. Вадим, Москва. Смелый человек из города Хабаровск.
What's been really strange about this situation, people that I once assumed were associates or friends or acquaintances have turned round to me and said, this is all propaganda, this is all lies, what about the Nazis? Are you insane? There are people losing their houses every single day. Mariupol, a city of almost 500,000 people, last census had it at 480,000 people, have been completely displaced. And how do I know they've been displaced? Because every single building in Mariupol has been destroyed. But obviously, if you believe the Russian propaganda, you're going to suggest to me that they're just clearing out the Nazis. Well, you're insane if you think that. You're absolutely insane, because I spent 9 and a bit years touring around Ukraine, visiting Ukraine in detail, and once in my 9 and a bit years did I find someone that had Nazi tendencies. He actually claimed he was a Nazi, but I kept looking. Ukraine has a mix of all people. It has people on the far left, it has people on the right, it has people in the center, it has liberals, it has socialists, it has people who are environmentalists. The Russian propaganda that sort of claims a whole battalion, the Azov battalion is a battalion of Nazis, just is false. It is not a justification for the invasion of a country and the blind war crimes that are taking place. I'm growing sick of seeing atrocities on the news. I'm growing sick of seeing atrocities on my Telegram channel. But until this ends, we have to keep on trying to help the Ukrainians, and we have to keep on trying to put on pressure with the Russians and the Russian government to basically end this. The only people that gain from this war are the banksters, the warmongering arms companies, and of course the media. The media benefits. For every click they get a tiny bit of revenue. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this content. Slava Ukraini, let's stop the war. And until next time, I'll see you then.